Everyone, welcome back to another lab walkthrough video. This lab walkthrough video is for the conservation of mass. So the objective for this lab is to perform and analyze a chemical reaction and observe the conservation of mass. So not only does this lab walk you through what to expect when you are there, it gives you sample data. So in case you miss this lab or need information, this video is for you. So like always, you have a background information section with some very important and useful information for you to use throughout the lab. Bunch of new vocab terms in this and how they relate to each other. A safety alert though, this lab, you will be required to wear safety goggles at all times during this lab. We have a bunch of different chemicals in the lab this week, so we have to make sure we are being safe. So for your conservation of mass procedure, what you're going to want to do is take your scale, make sure it is on, take the small little beaker that is there, and then whatever mass it says, doesn't matter, just hit tare to zero it out. Now from your lab teacher, you'll get two little test tubes, one that is blue that says CuCl2, and one that is clear that says AgNO3. So what you're going to want to do is take off the parafilm, put the test tube with the liquid in there, and record the measurement. So this is about 10.74 grams. Give that to a lab partner to hold. You'll take the next test tube of the other compound, take off that parafilm, opening it up, and then you're going to do the same thing and measure that one. This one's about 9.04 grams. Now your next step is to take the pipette that's labeled AgNO3, matches this one. What you're going to do is take up all of the liquid that is in there. So now you have an empty test tube. Give that to a lab partner to hold, and then slowly add it into the copper chloride one. When you add it in, a reaction will happen, and you'll be able to see what is going on. So you're going to add all of your silver nitrate in there. Give that a second, let that sit. And then now that you have this empty silver nitrate tube, what you're going to want to do is take the mass of the empty tube. This is 7.80 grams. So now that you have the empty mass of the test tube, you can pull that into your data table. And then following the instructions on there, find the mass of just your AgNO3 and just your mass of copper chloride. Now that the reaction has happened, you have a new object in here. So what you're going to want to do now is take the mass of that. So in your little empty beaker, put that in there, record that mass. This is about 11.91 grams. So once that is there, you are good. You have all the information that you need to collect. Now to rinse this out, these chemicals cannot go down the drain. So you're going to take your waste beaker, let's put this away, turn that off. All of your chemicals in this tube will go into your waste beaker. If you have some stuff on the side of it, that is okay. You have some water. You'll take your pipette labeled water, soak up some water, and then rinse out your tube. Keep dumping it into your waste until your tube is clean. Then you'll take these tubes, give them back to your lab teacher, make sure everything else is cleaned up, and you are good to go with calculations. Once you have collected all of your information and you have the masses for what you need, before you do any other additional calculations, clean up now. You must clean up your test tubes. Now, these chemicals cannot go down the drain, so we have a set cleanup protocol for this. So once you have collected this and this and this and those four values, you're able to find everything else. As the reaction happens, it will look different, and you'll be able to draw what your reactants look like and what your products look like. So you have an observation question writing down what you see. This is the equation that is happening inside of the test tubes. Your job is to balance that equation, and you may need to use scrap paper if you don't have enough room on this lab paper. Then, based on these pieces of information, the question then asks, well, a precipitate is formed, and that is an insoluble solid. So based on the equation above, which compound do you think is that precipitate or that insoluble solid on the bottom of your test tube? Another question is, looking at types of reactions. So based on this picture and based on that equation, which type of equation do you think that is? Then you have some percent error, and it tells you what your accepted value should be, what your measured value should be. So make sure you are reading the data table carefully. Then your last question is, well, if your masses don't match up, why do you think that happened? So talking about where things could have gone wrong, where error might be. So that is your conservation of mass lab. Have fun.